If I was to give you a list of 3 things that you should do to achieve what you want to achieve in life, would you want to follow it? My name is Vaibhav. I have 30 plus years of experience in various jobs around the world. I've also been a professor at one of the MBA schools, and I have probably worked with thousands of people. So let's get started. Here is my list. The first thing you need to do to succeed in life is to make a list of things you want and by when. If you want to achieve something, if you want results, you need to measure what you're doing. And to be able to measure what you're doing, you need to write down what is it that needs to be done so that you can compare that against what is it that you set out to do. Measurement is the key to success, and to be able to measure, you need to create a list of things that need to be done. It's what they call baseline. In simple words, make a list of things that you want to achieve and by when do you want to achieve. And I'll break this down further, but let's make one thing very clear, which is when you define what you want, it needs to be defined in absolute terms, which essentially translates to that your list should include measurable outcomes. It is not enough to say that I would want to move into a dream job. You might want to define what that dream job is. You may want to say, I want to work at company X, I want to work at this designation, I want to work in this department, in this industry, in this country, in this city. Be very specific of what is it that you want in your dream job. So that's how specific you want to be. Same with a house that you want to buy. Do you want to buy a house that is 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 1 bedroom? Which city do you want to be based in? What floor in a building you want your house to be? Would that be a standalone house? Would it be surrounded by amenities that are probably a priority for you? Make a very specific list. Same goes with a car. Which car model, which car company, which car brand. Make a list of one of those things that you want to achieve. Now, the second part of that is be very specific of when do you want to achieve it. Do you want to achieve this by your next birthday, by the close of the calendar year, in next 2 years, next 3 years? It can be anything, right? So it is very important to write down the deadline as well. Do this, make a list of things you want to achieve, and by when do you want to achieve it. It could be a list of 5 items, 10 items, 15, 20. From that list, on a new page, write down one thing that you want to achieve the most, which is one thing that you would want to prioritize from the list of those 10 things, and the date for it. Now that we have done the first step, we can move on to the second step. You now want to write down a plan of action, the activities that are needed to be done to achieve that part. And that list of activities can be divided into 3 major buckets. One is slightly long term, and by long term I mean 1 year. The second one will be medium term, which is 1 month. And the third one will be immediate, which is today. What is it that you want to do in next 1 year that will help you get closer to the goal that you have set for yourself? And that 1 year doesn't necessarily mean that at the end of that 1 year you will end up getting there. It simply means that if your goal is going to take 3 years, right now you're only planning for the first year. In next 12 months, what is it that you will do? And then from that list, prioritize what is it that you need to do in the next 1 month itself. So next 30 days, what are the activities that need to be done? And finally come down to today, which is quickly right now, after you finish watching this video, what is that one step, the first step that you will take to achieve that goal? Obviously, it could be a very, very minor activity that you might want to write. For example, if you want to upskill yourself in a particular field of knowledge, say you want to become a media professional, then one thing that you can do right now after watching this video is to get on the internet and research the potential courses that you can consider enrolling into. That could take maybe half an hour, but that is the first step that you will take towards that goal. So that is the second stage. First stage was to write down what is it that you want to do and by when. From that list, you prioritized one goal that you want to achieve now. And then we move to the second step, where we identify a list of activities that we need to be doing over the next 1 year, next 1 month, and what is it that you can do today. That's your step number 2. Now, step number 3 is to not get distracted and keep going until you achieve what you set out to achieve. The operating word is until. You don't stop, you don't get distracted, you simply keep going. This is probably one aspect that separates winners from also rans, and that is a lot of people give up within first 5% of success. A lot of people keep going and potentially give up just before they were about to win because they got too distracted or too depressed. So there are 2 key words under step number 3, which are consistency and persistence, and these two have 2 different meanings. Let me explain. Consistency means showing up every single day, no matter what. Whether it is raining, whether you are running fever, whether you have guests visiting, or whether you are traveling, none of these distractions should stop you from doing what you are set out to do every single day, 7 days a week. And it doesn't have to be 10 hours every day. It could even mean half an hour of activities that are supposed to be done every day. Taking a break even for a day can distract you, and coming back after 1 day's break, it becomes very difficult. That's my personal experience. So this is what I follow, that maybe once a week I want to take a day off from that activity, from achieving that goal. But that doesn't mean I take that day off completely. I will still find something that I should do on that day for 5 minutes that will give me the satisfaction that I've done something towards that goal. So it is very important to be consistent no matter what. The second key word is persistence. It simply means that no matter what distractions are thrown at you, you persevere. You continue to go and not get distracted by what people are saying, what potential hurdles you face. You make sure that you remain at the same energy level as you started off with. So we have looked at the first step, which is writing down your goal in a very specific manner. What is it that you want to achieve and by when? The second one was to drill down on activities that you need to do in first year, in first month, and today. And the third step was keep going until you achieve what you set out to achieve. You want to be persistent, you want to be consistent. And the fourth and the final and potentially the most important lesson for success is this: your self-belief. At every stage, whether you're on day 1 or day 365, you will face a lot of self-doubt. Our biggest enemy lies inside of us. You can overcome a lot of critics. You can overcome a lot of naysayers. You can face a lot of criticism, but when it comes to your self-confidence, only you can help yourself there. And I remember one chapter that I read in Mahatma Gandhi's, one of his writings, and though these are not his exact words, this is what he said: I would pursue an idea if I completely believe in that idea, even if I'm the only person left in the whole world who believes in that idea. Even if you are the only person who believes in that idea, you will continue to pursue that idea no matter what. And that is the level of self-belief you should have. You should be so single-minded about what you are set out to achieve that no distractions, internal, external, should stop you. That, of course, doesn't mean that you ignore people when they are giving you sound advice. You should be open to feedback. And wherever you think the feedback is relevant, you should take it up. And that's my final point. Adapt. Be very nimble on your feet. You're not so attached to the goal that you don't change. You're not so attached to your activities and plans that you stop listening to potential dangers, potential warning signs that you see either through people or through systems or through political environment. Be adaptive. We live in a highly volatile world today. Things change rapidly. The political systems change, the technological evolutions happen at speed of fire, and people see cultures change almost overnight. The volume of change is stupendous, and you can remain relevant only if you are able to adapt quickly. That is why it is important to be able to adapt and make changes to your plan as the situation demands. That's my final point. And I love the movie Forrest Gump for that reason, that sometimes the line between stupidity and being brave is very thin. Sometimes you have to be dogmatic about your approach, and no matter what people say, you should just keep going. If you hit the wall, reverse 5 steps, find another way, keep going. Those are my essentially 4 major lessons from 30 plus years of experience and various literature that I've read. To recap, here are those 4 steps again. The first step for you is to write down your goals in specific terms. What is it that you want to achieve, by when? Second step is to set a plan against one of those many goals that you have set for yourself. Third is to have a single-minded approach with consistency and persistence. And the fourth one is not get distracted and don't have self-doubt about what is it that you have set out to achieve. Those are my 4 lessons, and the most important of all these lessons is the final one, which is in the first step when you're writing down your goals, specifically what is it that you want to achieve and by when, write it in present tense. Our mind doesn't understand past and future tenses. Both are fictions for our mind. It is important to write down your goals in present tense as if you have already achieved what you set out to achieve. For example, I live in a 3-bedroom house by the water close to my workplace where I can drive to my work within 2 minutes. That is present tense. Or I drive such and such brand of car. Or I have X amount of money in my bank account. So all these statements are in present tense. Write down those things in the present tense so that your mind already sees them happening. Remember, every reality is first created in mind. You can't create something in real life until you create it in your mind. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in those goals or not. All that matters is how committed you are to those goals and you are willing to go that extra mile to achieve those goals. So essentially, based on my experience, what matters is how stupid you can be to ignore everything and keep going. And I use the word stupid very carefully here. What I mean is how committed you are to that goal. That is what matters. It may seem irrational, but have faith. A lot of great ideas started off looking irrational. So if you have set up a goal, you should be able to achieve it as long as you follow these steps and be consistent, persistent, single-minded in your approach. With that, I would wrap this up. If you enjoyed what you heard, Please subscribe and hit the like button, and do share this with your friends. There is no age limit for this advice. Whether you are just starting out at the age of 2021 or you are almost retired and you want to make a fresh start in a new career, these factors remain relevant at any age.